Good evening and welcome to the Alaska Weekly Update. I'm Brad Carguy. This week, a special holiday report, Christmas in Crisis, the status of Santa's elves. It seems Santa's infamous naughty list has grown to an insurmountable level. This will be the first year that Santa Claus is holding parents responsible for their children's actions. Thus, if a child is put on the naughty list, that child's parents, both of them, are also added to the list. So if you see a kid out acting up in public, that kid's going to get a lump of coal for Christmas. So are mom and dad. While this is certain to cause quite an uproar on Christmas morning, the Parents Pay project, as it's being labeled, is taking its toll elsewhere. We turn to the North Pole, where elves who normally this time of year are busy making toys in a joyful little workshop, well, this year they're working many overtime hours in coal mines. They're mining coal, which will be delivered on Christmas night in lieu of gifts to the naughty families. And a representative from the Elves Union has said that they're prepared to strike because of the long hours and unsafe work conditions. Respirators and filter masks are in very short supply. This is leaving the elves exposed and vulnerable to a variety of health risks, including black lung disease, emphysema, and lung cancer. There are reports that elves have been used as canaries to detect gas in the mine shaft. What happens is the jolly fellows are placed in a bird cage. When gas is detected, they pass out. All the workers are then evacuated from the mine shaft. One such incident ended tragically with the death of Jingle, a popular fellow up there in the North Pole who just wasn't a strong miner. He was placed in the bird cage, and when gas was detected, he passed out. All the other workers evacuated the mine shaft. No one opened Jingle's cage. He subsequently asphyxiated and died. Santa's spokesperson is denying these allegations, saying that the work conditions in the coal mine are above board, and that Jingle's death, while tragic, was the result of a tinsel overdose. He says that it was well known that Jingle was a chronic tinsel addict. I'm joined in studio by a representative from the Coal Mining Elves Union, Jasper. Jasper, thank you, first of all, for joining us on such short notice and what is definitely your busiest time of year.
It definitely is. Well, thanks for bringing me in and shedding a little bit of light on this crisis. I do appreciate that.
Certainly. Let's get right to it. This new Parents Pay project, this has become quite a burden to you and your fellow elves.
It really has. I mean, it's turned what used to be our favorite time of the year and kind of into an absolute nightmare. The long hours away from our families and the work and hours and just the conditions in the mines it's not very safe. And that's not even mentioning Santa's brazen attitude towards us. I mean, he's not treating us the way he used to, and
Really?
it's becoming unbearable.
Wow. That's a surprise. You mentioned Santa's attitude. Does he really know the conditions you guys are working in? You got to tell me, has he even been
sure,
out?
he's been to the mine all right, and problem is, last time he showed up, he was drunk off eggnog, and he was wearing his boxers with mistletoe on the front, and it was sad to see him that way, but what made us even sadder was the profanities he was yelling at us for being behind quota on the coal.
You'll have to excuse me. I mean, I'm not saying that I don't believe what you're saying, because this is an eyewitness account, but it's just, this is different from the jolly elf that I know and loved growing up. So you have to understand if there's a bit of skepticism in my voice. Let's move on. Another subject, and this one probably a little bit hard to discuss for you too, the incident concerning Jingle and his death. I mean, Santa's reps, they're saying that it was a tinsel overdose, and the autopsy results aren't back, but what do you have to say to that? You were there when this happened.
I was there when it happened, and as it was happening, I was worried about Jingle. I just didn't have time to go back and look for him. Well, the thing is, Jingle's been clean for at least 2.5 years, so there was no way it was a drug overdose.
Okay.
they just left him locked in the cage. As everyone filed out, Jingle was left alone and ended up dying. It's one of the saddest moments, but you want to know why? In other news, why half the elves are using tinsel anyway?
Yeah, half the elves are using?
Yeah, half of them are. Do you know who the supplier is?
I have no idea.
You'll never get. Who do you think it is?
I don't know. I mean,
It's the fact.
excuse me?
Santa Claus is the dealer. He gets us hooked on the junk, and then
That's a serious allegation.
It is. It is, but it's so true. He gets us hooked on the tinsel, and instead of paying us with money, he pays us with bad tinsel. So he manages to operate the coal mines.
You don't mind if I stop you here?
No,
because I mean,
no,
this,
it's okay.
if what you're saying is true, and again, we don't have any evidence other than your word at this point, but if what you're saying is true, this will be the biggest scandal to rock the North Pole since Rudolph's red nose. This is huge. And remember, you heard it here first on The Edge. We're going to look further into that situation. I mean, that could be huge. But right now, the biggest thing that we have to deal with is the current situation, the present, if you will. Just talking about the strike. And I mean, you've got to understand, how we see it is, the children are going to be punished for your boss's actions. And I mean, how can you justify that? How do you see it being okay for the kids to be punished for what's going on at your workplace? Why do they have to pay?
Well, Christmas is kind of a holiday that's run by the children.
Right.
If the kids don't have a voice in it, the parents never listen. It has to happen to kids for the parents to realize.
Sure.
So I figure if it takes a Christmas with no gifts under the tree and no presents in the stockings, then that's what it's going to take. If we have to make the world aware that way by going on strike and causing a Christmas such as that.
Drastic measures in drastic times. Listen, we at The Edge we're committed to supporting you guys through this, and also in supporting the children. We want Christmas morning to be what we traditionally remember it to be. And in an effort to stave off this strike, our audience can send in gifts here to The Edge. Send in respirators, filter masks, money, canaries, money, extra coal if you've got it, anything you've got around the house, mining tools, shovels, money. If anyone in the West Virginia or Pennsylvania area doesn't have anything to do right now, it would be a great time to head to the North Pole and give a hand to help support these elves in what could be a crisis. And we just want to support the Christmas season, and we want to support the elves, and hopefully, Jasper, we can help you avoid this strike. I really thank you for taking the time to visit us in studio here again. It's a pleasure to meet you.
I thank you
and
too.
We're going to look into the other things that you've brought up. This could be huge. Thanks again.
No.
That was Jasper from the Coal Mining Elves Union, and huge stuff if it all pans out. Another group that's planning on joining the effort for the elves is the ACLU. The American Civil Liberties Union fears that if Santa doesn't make his usual run on Christmas morning, people in America might start thinking Christmas is about the birth of Jesus. Well, I'm Brad Carguy. I want to thank you for taking the time to join us on this edition of the Alaska Weekly Update, where we keep you on the edge of Alaska news.